Hello, I'm Julia Cordova. Thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. I really appreciate it. Last week was super exciting. If you follow me on Twitter, you saw me buy the effing dip in real time. It was quite exciting. So here's what the general picture is that I see. We're still buying the dip, but it's happening slower than usual. If you've been following me this past couple weeks on YouTube, you saw me talk about the fact that one of the down weeks didn't have a big tail, and in almost every other instance of that happening, in fact, I think in every instance of that happening, the next week was a severe green candle, and that's not what we got. Instead, we got another red week before what would be considered by most technicians to be a super bullish candle, because it's what we call a pin candle. It's testing that low and then coming right back up, and in this case above even the previous high. So I have some opinions about what I think is going to happen this week, but I feel like I could either be right on all of them or wrong on all of them. But here, because I think they all go together, if that makes any sense, and you'll see when we review the charts what I'm talking about. But the important thing is that I think I know when I'm going to be wrong on all of them. And so if I'm wrong on one of them, then I'm going to start to think I'm wrong about all the rest and adjust my positioning. So with that said, I think that at the end of next week, we will in fact be lower in all of the indices again. I don't know by how much, but that's just what I think, and I'll show you why on the charts. And again, I'll have to be wrong. I think that metals will be higher, and that's sort of a gutsy move on my part because of the way that miners were behaving, and we'll talk about that. And I think that oil will be also lower, which, that's also very gutsy considering what I think is everybody else's opinion. And also the chart a little bit, but I'll explain why. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say for now. So with that said, and I could be wrong, this is just my opinion, and I'll let you know what I think, and you let me know, please, in the comments whether you agree, disagree, whatever. So with that said, let's talk charts. You ready? Woo. All right. Okay, so let's start off by looking at ES weekly, and let me just make this big. Okay, so last week you saw me in real time buy the effing dip at this pink line, and people are like, "You're scalping based on a weekly," and I'm like, "Yep," because weekly, I don't know how you guys trade, but like for me, the larger the time frame, the bigger the trend line, and the more sure I am about a trade, right? Like I'm more sure about trading off of a weekly chart than I am about a 5-minute chart. Now, most people look for like the lower time frames for entry, but hello, look. Hello. I thought this was really good odds, and it turned out to be great. Now, why did I call it a scalp and not a swing? Because I am not convinced, and I could be wrong, but I am not convinced that this dip will not get dippier. Okay? That doesn't mean I think it's the very top, but I'm just not convinced. So what is my plan for this week? Well, I have to tell you, I went short at 44.52 last week, and I'm kind of bummed that I didn't close it out. I left it on over the weekend, so now I'm like, is this gonna gap up and like be annoying? Probably. Anyway, my bias for this week is down, because even though this is a super bullish looking candle, remember the pink line. Never forget, never forget. This pink line is very important. So far, this has been a fakey breaky, and I think that potentially if we do dip first, it'll start to look like it's being bought and then not get bought. So I don't think we're going to end up with one of these deals, maybe, but what I do think is that if we get to 4498, I'm going to take a short. Above that, I'm going to consider myself probably much above that. And I'm going to consider myself probably wrong. I'll show you on the daily chart here. So I've got this, early detection system of a breakout happening on the daily. And on Monday, it's a little bit higher, but let's say Sunday night / Monday, it's a little bit higher, but this is for Tuesday. If it gets above 4502, which kind of corresponds with that, right? Is it perfect? No, I don't care. I don't care. If it gets above that, I'm going to be like, oh, probably wrong, and it's going to go to the moon. Okay, so that's sort of where I'm looking at as an early I'm wrong in terms of my downward side bias. Yeah, so that's my plan, is to take the short if we get there, and otherwise look to 43. If it does go all the way down, which I don't know that it will, but 4380 is also support, and 4308.75 on the weekly here. But I'll just go by day, and I'll update you on Twitter if I see anything different. Now let's look at Nasdaq. Okay, so same pin kind of candle here on the weekly that we got for ES. And, again, Jules, what are you doing shorting this thing, or trying to anyway? Well, if you look at this long channel that we've been in for, I don't know, seems like forever now. We really didn't even test the bottom of the channel. So for me, if you're looking to buy the dip, and it does dip, 15035 is short-term support based on the previous runs that we have. And really what that means is if the week closes below 15035, then I think we've got a new downtrend thing happening. Okay, like this was really all I'm looking for, is the close here to know whether or not potentially we have a short-term trend change. Again, we've got support here, well, all sorts of support here, but I'm just saying. And then from a toppy perspective, resistance of this channel is about 16026 or so, but still haven't gotten to this big old measured move here. So anything over a close over here would be superty bullish. Don't know if we're going to get it, but just saying. And quite the pen candle. So what are you doing? It didn't even hit the 20, right? So in my opinion, has it really gone down? Has it really scared people? I don't think so. ES tried to, didn't scare me, and I scare pretty easy. Okay, let's look at RTY, or the small caps, IWM, if you're not doing the feuds kind of thing. Okay, so, interestingly enough, it had shown strength the week before compared to the other two, but it kind of doesn't look as bullish as the other two, at least in terms of the weekly candle. However, we're getting closer and closer to a breakout of some sort for this triangle. And here are the pivots I'm looking at. So from a just pure channels perspective, 2242.8. And really, that's pretty much where it closed on Friday. So we'll have to see where it starts here. And then this line that's been defended is 2207. I think if it gets much below that, it's not a good sign. And because even though we've had all of these wicks, look at these wicks. Look, you can say, well, Julia, that's strength. Is it though? Doesn't it mean that eventually it's going to get tired if it's done all of these wicks and hasn't? Ooped. However, above 2270, and I'm going to be like, well, potentially was wrong. And then above 2350, moonbeams for this thing, like absolute frickin' moonbeams. So that's kind of in my opinion, a watch and wait, just because, like, I don't know how, I haven't been trading this for a while. I've just been, dealing with other stuff, but I don't know how y'all do it. I think probably what y'all do is y'all take a position and then just wait until you're green, because you're probably going to get it because of all the volatility. whether you're short or long, I could just see it happening. Oh, let's talk about Bitcoin, because I have a thing happening with there. Okay. So remember, I had talked about this head and shoulders and I've been a little bit outspoken in terms of the fact that I thought it was bearish looking just because of everything that happened prior. However, and I still think that it's going to get to this ambulance line of 35676.7 because that is the measured move from this head and shoulders. However, I would be remiss if I did not point out that just when I was looking at this on Saturday, I'm like, ooh, this looks potentially like it could be a ginormous bull flag. Does it not? Even if it got down to all the way to here, it's still in a downwards channel, which means when it breaks out of that channel, it's going to have a measured move depending on when it does. And right now, we're sitting right at the bananas / monkey poop line, above good, below bad. And so far, what we've had happen though is we've just pretty much retested the neckline and then gone down. But above this, and I made it for Monday, just so you know, I don't know when you're watching this, but above 45,379.6, and that could potentially be a breakout, minimally to the key line, I think, but probably all the way up to this next orange line. And if it does that, I'll probably say something on Twitter. But I just want to be able to, I'm not like, this is going, these are tulips, it's going to zero, you know, and I'm also not, wow, like laser eyes going to the moon. I'm just trying to gauge it as I see it. And so far, I just think this has been a little bit bearish. So if it does bounce, if it does get here and bounce, depending on whether it's still in the confines of this channel, we'll figure it out, okay? But if it gets above here, then maybe it won't hit here. But maybe it won't. We don't know. Who knows? Nobody knows. And everybody's biased. So don't let anybody say, oh, I'm unbiased like a computer. BS, unless you're taking trades from a computer. Okay. Now we're going to talk about metals. So, okay. I might have looked like a jerk this week on Twitter because I kept saying early in the week how GDX was super strong compared to the indices, because when the indices were pooping, GDX was not. However, when the indices then started going up, GDX is like, just kidding. We're actually inverse the indices, which would lead one to think that this week will be a down week. However, I'm not normal. This is bad, right? Look at all the indices as pin candles up, and look at GDX. So if it does go down, here is the lightning line support, 27.71. Could absolutely happen. And if it happens, I will be ready and super willing to buy it there. However, if it's a fakey breaky below this key line, where's my key? There it is. Below this key line of 31.27, which we back tested almost perfectly on Fed Day. Wednesday. Can you believe it was just Wednesday and then it did that? When the indices then, whatever. Anyway, above 31.27, and I will, super add to it. Or if it gets to 27.71, then I will rebuy it. If it gets much below where it closed, 29.68, then I will reconsider. Now, for as bearish as this looked, gold and silver did not actually look that bearish on the weekly. I mean, kinda, but you know, how many times have you seen one of these formations? I don't remember what it's called, like the rising sun. I'm not sure, where it has like a red and then a downwards dragonfly and then a big old green. This is two reds and a downwards dragonfly, but same dealio. And we still, by the way, okay, and these are my pivots for this week. Let me move it. See, I thought I was prepared, but I was not. This always happens. It's pretty much the key. Above the key, super bullish. Below the key, I don't know. However, that said, I am positioned long at this time. Let me make that there. Okay, so this is what I'm watching for this week. The key level of 1788.9 is very important. If that gets tested again, even, it could do a double whammy here, but I don't know. It above there, bullish. Now let's look at the 4-hour and let's talk about how great my chart is, even if I'm using chicken scratch lines. And the next time I use chicken scratch lines, please tell me to make my chicken scratch lines a little higher. Because, like, look at this. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, really? Really? Stop it. Go up. Anyway, I had talked about before a couple of videos ago that if you're a longer term bull, I think anywhere in between 1788.9 and 1744 is a good place to load up. And so far we're still above 1744 at the end of last week, but it's doing a thing. And so just prepare that if it gets much below actually where I drew the shoulder, because I'm a good chicken scratcher, then it's probably not going to hold. It's possible, but I'm looking for closes above chicken scratch shoulder line in order for me to get more bullish, okay? But so far, we're still on track here, okay? Plus, I've seen a bunch of gold bears taking victory laps, and I've also seen a bunch of gold bulls even say, well, just one more flush. Maybe. But maybe it's possible. Let's look at silver. Okay. Oh, so see, we're looking at the weekly here without any lines. And it's the same dealio, right? The reds, and then you have a potentially. This is like, this is the kind of formation. It's like the end of a blackjack table, and this is the person who doesn't screw it up, and then the dealer busts, right? Maybe. But I mean, objectively speaking, it's below all of the MAs, the 9, the 20, and the 50. So it's not bullish yet. It's a place where somebody who was inclined to be bullish might take the trade. But, I'm not loving this triple bottomy action on both gold and silver. So I'm sort of on the lookout there. If it gets much below this past week's low, then I'm wrong, at least short term, and that's still wrong, right? Okay. Oh, let me look at the other time frames just in case. Why? Oh, because I hid my drawings. Oh, but look. Okay, so I mean, really, yeah, on the 1 hour, on the 4-hour, it's not looking great, except for it does have a higher low. So yeah, so I'm just going to put this here. So the first breakout would be above 22.66. That would also be above the 9 and the 20. Okay, and then it'd have to get past the 50 on the 4-hour. Once it gets past the 50 on the 4-hour, it's clear sailing. So, it might be one of those things where if you're not like a death-defying daredevil, you might want to just wait till it's above 22.66, because that, I think, will be a breakout on the 4-hour. And that'd be a nice scalp, in my opinion, at least to this line, the 50. Yeah, okay. Oh, see what I did? I do spend a lot of time before looking at the chart, but a lot of times the time I spend is like really oogling it. So it could, if it does tank, I expect there to be support at 20.84, and then below that, it's not going to be pretty at all. Not even a little bit. But on the upside, it's going to have some resistance if it gets there at 23.875. So, and I'll tell you on Twitter what I'm doing. Okay, let's look at oil. Okay, what are you doing trying to short this thing, Julia? What is happening? Why are you doing that? Okay, because, and I had said this before, if you really zoom out, squint your eyeballs. See that? Okay, so I think it's going to come back down here in this area. However, I could be wrong. And I mean, I looked at it before. I was like, well, how do I know when I'm wrong, right? But here it did come all the way back up here before. So See what I mean? It did. Okay. So this is pretty much near the top of where I can be wrong and it won't go back to this dashed line. The dashed line is 76.90. It's probably the most important line. Why don't I label it? Because I'm just not labeling it right. Okay, hold on. What am I doing? Oh, here. Price label. 76.9. Background pink. Okay. Well, you know what? Us doing this together, it's bonding, right? All right. So for this next week, I have been trying to short pops, and I was actually pretty successful because I shorted, I covered, I shorted again. So far, I do have a little bit of a short going into this week, but probably dumb. Anyway, for this week, the trend line is 74.58, much above that, and it will probably be going to this 76.9. So therefore, I'm kind of wrong if it gets much above 74.58. So that's sort of where I'm going to really watch. And then if it gets below 72.52 for any period of time, this is weekly that I'm looking at, but if it gets for any period of time and stays there, then okay, well, I think we're going to go all the way back down here. Not this week, maybe, but probably it could happen. Okay, so those are the figures I'm watching. And let's look, oh wait, no. And let's look at XOP. So I don't know if I pointed this out, but I've never drawn it because I don't know why. Like, because I don't want you to think I'm a head and shoulders trader, because head and shoulders sometimes are not reliable patterns. However, we've gotten slightly above this last shoulder, which is kind of what I like to see. So I would not be surprised at all to see a downwards week in XOP this week. We have all sorts of gaps here that haven't been filled on the downside, but not a lot on the upside. So, yeah, let's watch it, and that might be a good place to sort of short oil, right? If we see XOP going below 87.78, we'll be like, well, but we may get an annoying candle like this, right? That's just kind of a toppy looking candle and not a straight down candle. And that's possible. But anyway, that's what I'm watching. So 87.78 and 72.09 is the neckline. So really, if you're a responsible, good person who's really patient and waiting and all that stuff, that would be the time to take it and not like trying to short this uptrend. But I just do what I do. Anyway, let's look at Natty. So wow, Natty got to our sort of 4.8 or from last week 4.83 level and doing, bounced. So this week, and I have been long, I have been short, I have been it's like I'm doing the hokey pokey with this one. Like I have been all the way around this. But anyway, for next week, as long as it stays above 4.709, it's still bullish. And I mean, from a MA perspective, so what I did was when it got to the 20 MA, I went long here. And then I was like, oh, could it be this easy? And then the next week I got a little paranoid, and I think I ended up taking literally a $5 profit on it before it went to the sky. So I'm kind of dumb because I should have put that stop below where, but I was just like, could it be this easy, or it just backtests the 20? Because anything that backtests the 20 and bounces, like that's bullish, right? Right. But I'm done. Anywho, yeah, so I don't know what to say about this, except for I think it's going to 6. And I don't know how soon. Maybe on this run, maybe not. But that is my initial price target before any sort of major downwards action. And I would recommend not trading it because it's really deadly. Although, who knows? I don't know. Like I said, I kind of screwed that one up. Let's look at coffee. Okay, so coffee has been Remember how it went 30% plus up in 1 week and then even more the next week? And then it was like, let me get all of these people who thought this was going to go parabolic and let me just teach them a lesson. Well, ever since then, it's been triangulating, consolidating, whatever you want to call it. But might I add, staying perfectly within the channel so far. And in fact, if you watched the video last week, it really bounced within like a couple of cents off of this low where we had identified on the blue dotted line. Yay, us. And ended up having a breakout for the week. So we'll have to see where we close next week, but I am ultimately very bullish longer term. This is a weekly chart. Very bullish longer term on coffee. And in fact, I think that if it gets to the top of this channel line again, it's not just going to stop there because that's not very far above the last high. I think it's going to go a lot higher, like a lot. But that said, it did, even though we have a price breakout, it did close the week right. I mean, is it on? No. Okay, it's slightly above RSI resistance. So if we get a gap up, and then back test, yay. If we get a gap down, it's going to have a little more work to do for the rest of the week. But these are the figures I'm watching. 50.12 is the bottom of the triangle. 52.92 is the top. 52.07 is the key line now. I mean, I guess I should move that up, right? Yeah, it's really, yeah. It's both the finish line, which was the original measured move, and I think the key line, but ultimately, come on now. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go all the way there. I wouldn't. Okay, that's the end. Let me make myself big. Thank you again so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. I really appreciate it. Oh, features open in 4 minutes. Okay, bye.